Google Search Console provides you information on what keywords your site is showing up for in Google search results. It tells you where your site is ranked, how many clicks you are getting, etc. If you want a crash course in Google Search Console and want to understand how to set it up for your site and subdomains, then this video is for you. But before we proceed, make sure to click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you never miss out any new videos from me. If you're ready, let's dive in. Browse over to webmasters.google.com. That'll bring you to a similar page that you're seeing in front of you. You will need a Google account to sign into Search Console. That Google account needs to also have the permission to Google Analytics as an admin that you will be using. So both the accounts need to be under the same email. Once you have your Google account, you'll either sign in or just click on Search Console if you are already signed in. Click on Search Console, and if you are required to sign in, then use that Google account to sign in. Else you will be directly taken into your account. So click on it. And here you are. This is the Search Console where you will start to see all your keyword data and search engine optimization data. However, we will not be using this interface. We will be using Google Analytics. I will show you how to get all this data into Google Analytics. But first, let's get the data in this interface. In order to get your data in Google Search Console, you have to add your website or websites into this console. In order to do that, you see this add property on your left-hand corner. Click on that arrow button, and then it'll open up a drop-down where you can add your property. So click on plus add property, and then a pop-up window opens that gives you two options to add your property, which is your website. Either you can add at the domain level, which means if you have multiple subdomains such as shop.yourdomain.com or careers.yourdomain.com, and you want to get all this data in one property, then you will use the domain level setting. Or if you have your subdomains that signify different sites, then you will use the URL level. In that case, you specify the URL for that particular domain. For example, if you have a site for US called us.yourdomain.com, then you will use something like this to verify that domain. So I'm going to use optizent.com, put your domain here, and then click on continue. Once you do that, it's going to give you an option to verify that you are the actual owner of that website. This ensures that nobody else can add a website that doesn't belong to them and get all the keyword information, because this is confidential information. So it gives you option where in this case you have to verify by a setting in your DNS configuration. I'm not going to go into details, but you can verify this with either the webmaster of your website, the IT team in your company, or the domain hosting company. You take this information and add it as a DNS record. Once you're done, you will be able to see that data for that site. It might take up to 24 hours for your data to show up. If your site is not indexed by Google, it's a brand new site, you can start to index that site by doing this process. By adding your site in Google Search Console, Google will start to index that site for search engines. Once you're done, click on verify. It might take a few minutes for Google to verify your DNS record. So initially you might see an error message like this, which says ownership verification failed. If you have taken care of all the steps that Google has outlined in the previous screen, then after a few minutes, it should verify that the site belongs to you and the data will start to show up. So at this point, go ahead and click OK and then check back after a few minutes. When you check back after a few minutes, your data should start to show up. If your data is not there, but verification is complete, that means Google is still indexing your site. So check back after a day or so. Alternatively, you can also force Google to index a page. You can start by putting the URL of your website in this box up here and then ask Google to index it. This is where you can pass any URL of your website and have Google index it. So if you create a new page that Google hasn't indexed yet, you can come in here and request Google to index it. For example, if I type in the URL for optizen.com, click on enter, and then Google is going to go see if that page is already indexed or not. In this case, it basically saying it can appear in Google search result and it says submitted and indexed. That means it's already indexed. If the page has changed, I can do request indexing. If the page is not there on Google, it'll show you a message and then you can click on request indexing to index it. Once it's done, then it'll start to appear in searches. All the keywords that your site shows up for on Google when users are searching for certain keywords will be listed under Performance tab. So click on Performance and it'll show you how many clicks you are getting, how many total impressions, which means how many times your site is showing up when users are searching for relevant keywords, what's the average CTR and average position. This is for last 3 months. You can change the time frame by clicking on this pencil icon and picking the time frame that you want to look at. You can also compare 2 time frames. I'm going to click cancel. Similarly, you can also change the option to look at the searches just for the web searches, image or video, and then compare 2 different options. Again, I'm going to click cancel. In this example, I've just started indexing this site recently, focusing more and more on this site. As you can see, it had very few clicks and the clicks are starting to go up and impressions are starting to go up. As new pages are coming up on the site, I'm indexing them. Below that, you will see all these queries and how many clicks are being generated for each query, as well as number of times this site is shown when user searches for this query. If you go ahead and click on average position and scroll down, now you'll see the position this site is showing up in Google searches. So when somebody searches for FBCLID, this site shows up on an average of 7.1 position. So sometimes 7, sometimes 8. That's what it's showing up. So you can see a complete list by going through all these pages. It also shows you the pages that are indexed by Google and how many clicks and impression and positions you're getting, the countries users are searching from, as well as the devices users are using to search. There are a few other options here. I'm not going to go in depth on any of these things. Just to quickly show you what they are. Coverage basically shows you how many pages have been indexed and if there are any errors, etc. So feel free to look around. If there are any crawling issues, you will see on this page. Then sitemap is where you can submit a sitemap of your site so that Google can come and crawl those pages. It also shows you mobile usability issues as well as any site link searches that user has done. These are in-depth searches that Google provides in certain cases, such as recipes, events, flight information, etc. Security and manual actions. Clicking on this will show you if there are any security issues with your website. Link shows you the sites that are linking to you, as well as you can manage your settings. But for our purposes, for this course, this is all we need at this point, and your Google Search Console is ready. It's going to provide you the keyword information that you need in Google Analytics to conduct deeper analysis. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment for me, and I will see you in the next video.